when restoring one's posture, you must take your tongue into account. It's a very important component in the human body, and it should not be misunderstood, because it is very, very much misunderstood in our day and age. Nowadays, we're told to regain oral posture, we simply have to mew, and that just isn't the case. There's a lot of misinformation on the mewing notion. For one, not a lot of people acknowledge that mewing is simply oral posture, and humans are meant to have it. Every single one of us is meant to have oral posture, and we lose it along the way due to trauma, physical trauma, mental trauma, dysfunction. Something happened to us in our lives that made us lose it, whether it is environmental, which is usually the case. And I can get into that, but it's kind of self-explanatory. But the point is, in order to properly have oral posture from the start, you had to have done things in a more natural route, like breastfeed. Instead of using a milk bottle, it needs to be natural. It's the proper function that humans are meant to learn and do in the very early age. But even at that, there's much more deeper ways on how one could have lost oral posture, like a breathing dysfunction or malocclusion. So now that you've lost oral posture, let's say around the ages of 5, 6 through 10, 12, who knows, you will develop a breathing dysfunction. You will be susceptible to tension buildup, I guess. And where the tension stored? The neck. Tension is stored in the neck, and it has the rest of your body. It has your facial muscles and your cranial bones and your mandible in hostage. And the same goes for the rest of your body, your ribs and your psoas, your pelvis, your limbs are now in hostage. And the only way to truly break free from the tension that's now in your neck, because you don't have the structure, you don't have the support of tongue posture, is by releasing all the tension in your neck. And the way to do that is by acknowledging why you have this tension in the first place. It's two things. It is physical tension and it is mental tension. It is all the tension we have stored throughout our lives, whether it's traumatic mentally or traumatic physically. It must not be ignored. It must be acknowledged. And as long as you have the tension in your neck, it looks like this. You see that? That's tension. I see it a lot. People who have back pain, neck pain, even like shoulder pain anywhere, TMJ, they have tension in their neck, and as long as they have that there, they're not going to gain oral posture. Because another point I want to add is that oral posture or mewing must be natural. It's not something you can force. Your body knows how to do it. It's just the fact that there's so much tension in your neck that it's holding you back from getting oral posture. So my point is, you cannot mew if you have neck tension. To some degree, we all have it. And if you have to practice mewing by holding your tongue on the roof of your mouth as much as you possibly can, you're never going to do it right. You might actually gain even worse symptoms, like even more traumatic facial asymmetry, because you're forcing your tongue to do this on a dysfunctional body. It may not be insanely dysfunctional, but to some degree, there may be some dysfunction. If you have TMJ, if you have to some degree scoliosis, if you have shoulder pain, if you have low back pain, you have tension. And you cannot not acknowledge that if you want to start mewing. You must see the bigger picture. My orthodontist, when I went to my first consultation, the first thing he checked was if I had oral posture, and of course I did not. But just knowing he was checking for that makes me feel like I was in good hands for sure, because it's something that can be regained. But if you have neck tension, you simply cannot regain it. You need to release this first. And if you have malocclusion or some other dysfunction in your body that's keeping you in a state of tension, you need to take care of that first and take yourself into to take care of yourself mentally as well, because you are exiting your old body physically, but now you must take care of the mental stress and trauma experiences, life that you've lived in prior to getting the proper physical help. You need to acknowledge that and overcome it before you really want to start mewing. And you really can't mew anyways until you release all this tension. Mewing should feel natural. That's just my perspective. That's what I think is true, because I see it all the time. I see people who are onto something, and then they go again with the whole mewing technique. You need to practice mewing. No. You cannot force tongue posture. No. You need to release the tension in your neck first. Look at this tension. I'm talking, and there's plenty of tension. Now imagine if I tried to mew like that, without acknowledging the fact that, oh, maybe I'm not using my diaphragms correctly, or maybe I'm stuck in a pattern, because you must acknowledge the patterns as well, the left AFIR, the right BC, and the right TMCC. A lot of us are living like that. Maybe not the same degree as I am, but to some degree you're living in it. And until you get out of the pattern and release all the tension in your neck, you should not start mewing. You should not mew to begin with. Just focus on the tension in your neck. Find the root cause on why you have it. Acknowledge your mental disorders. Acknowledge it's not even mental disorders. It's just, we've all been through trauma, okay? It's not that big of a deal. Just acknowledge it and don't repress it. Just acknowledge it and forgive yourself. And if you have severe malocclusion, a structural issue, that needs to be taken care of too. Fixing body posture the correct way goes hand in hand to regaining oral posture. That's just my perspective, so whatever I'm pretty sure, because I can never find the right help when it comes to tongue posture. Even in PRI, I don't find much information on tongue posture, but it has to be restored. But you cannot restore it by simply mewing. It's oral posture, and it can be regained if you release the tension in your neck.